I would like to pretend to be ignorant and to pretend to be naive and say that, oh, I didn't think, Ekin-su was going to steal Curtis. But no, Ekin-su was going to always steal someone who gave her drama. I think she looked at the guys that were there. She knew that she didn't want the burden that came with dealing with Scott, given the fact that, he's on his sobriety. And so I think this is why she felt the need to go after Curtis. I think she would have picked Ronnie had Ronnie been coupled up with someone that it would make an impact on, but it didn't. Kaz is more of a bigger deal than Alam. I don't know her name, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. So it makes sense that she would want to steal, Curtis from Kaz. And Curtis does really seem interested as well. And then Casey. Am I the only one who thinks that Casey somehow, maybe his granddad owns the land that farm is, the villa is sitting on? Because it doesn't make sense that why do they keep bringing him back? Knowing for a fact that he's not really looking for love. He's there for friendships, and that's what it seems like. And I still haven't forgiven him for the way he treated Cynthia when she came in and gave her hope that he was going to pick her only to go back to Claudia. So I do stand united with Kaz that, Casey is a player, and I'm convinced that he has been in the girls' inboxes. This is why he was very, very, very sort of defensive. But hey, I can't wait to see tonight's episode. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's your girl Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island All Stars Season 2, Episode 2. Oh, here we go. Ekin is going to be drama, the drama that we all want to see but didn't know we needed. So Ekin is told she has to pick three guys to go on a date with. And looking at the guys that are there, you can already see who she's going to pick. She picks Ronnie, Curtis, and Scott. Am I surprised? No, because I don't think she would have gone on a date with Luca because they were on the same season and they never had any sort of romantic intentions towards one another. So had she gone with him, she'd have just been catching up with a mate. And because he's friends with Davide, I don't think she would have wanted that. So she goes with the three guys to the secret garden. They have a conversation and Ronnie's just excited to be there because Ronnie plays dumb, and then he lets the girls run around him because he's saying that he's always dated girls, he's never really dated a woman, so he thinks he needs a woman to sort of contain him. And it's like, I don't think, he's up to her level because Ekin-su will really be a headache for him. If he thought just last season was the pain in his backside, Ekin will actually be worse. Scott, for someone who said he really wasn't that keen on her, it's surprising to see how he is eager to sort of engage in conversations and, be forthcoming with information. Do I think Ekin-su is the person for him? I think she's going to stress him out. I think she'll stress him out. And I don't think she's going to want him because Ekin-su wants where there is drama. And of the three guys, I think Curtis maybe because of Kaz, there might be some drama there. But I don't think she would want Scott. I think Scott would be too boring for her. And she would be trying not to overstimulate him to the extent that he ends up wanting a drink or whatever he's in, he's in rehab for or he went to rehab for. So I don't think she would like him. I think she would like Curtis. Until her person comes in because I don't think neither of the guys are Ed. I would never have seen her taking, any of the other guys. As I said, she already knows one from her season. Naz, I don't think he's her type. And Marcel, I don't think he's her type. I think Naz is more on her type, maybe if you're sort of comparing him to Davide, but the others, I don't think so. The girls were really stressed because they were trying to eavesdrop. And it's like, why are you eavesdropping? You've barely been coupled up with these guys, not even for 2 hours. So the idea that you're so stressed about Ekin-su that you want to eavesdrop doesn't make sense. Just sit down. If these boys want to couple up with you, they will. If they don't, that's it. You have Luca sort of telling everyone that, he was on the same season with Ekin and he knows her. She's an amazing girl, but she doesn't take any BS. And it's like, Everybody knows this. We've all watched it. We know that this is who Ekin-su is. Elma is already stressed because the first time she came in, she didn't last long. And I think she's realizing that with Ekin-su, if she picks Ronnie, she might be going home. So I can't wait to see what happens once Ekin-su makes her choice. The girls sit down for a conversation, and you can still tell that they're stressed, even though Ekin-su is saying that, you know, your guys were saying nice things about you, so there's no need for you to stress. And it's like, it's day one. It's day one. The only difference is you were coupled up with these guys a couple of minutes more before Ekin-su walked in. Yes, you had the whole day to get to know them. But if Ekin-su wants one of them, then one of you is at risk of going home. It's interesting that when Ekin-su came out from her date with the guys, you had Kaz immediately go and sit down with Curtis and have a conversation before she joined the girls. And it's like, oh, you can't appear that desperate, Kaz. You're a 10. You don't need to be chasing after Curtis unless you're worried about staying in the villa. Otherwise, in regards, he is punching. He is punching with you, so you don't need to chase him. Let him chase you and let's see what's going on. You have Scott sit down for a chat with India. And Scott and India, for me, it's interesting. The words that now interesting is the word of the day. It's surprising that Scott is making it seem as though, you know, they've been in this friend zone and is open to exploring a connection. And yet he was telling the guys prior to the coupling up that, you know, they've been friends with India for a long time. So if they couldn't, you know, find anything romantic there, what makes them think that they'll suddenly find it? That's a totally different story to the one he's selling to India. He's making it seem like, you know, he and India have a shot and that they can actually navigate from friend zone to actually a relationship. I like the fact that they spoke about his sobriety and whether he would be looking for a partner who's sober. He said you wouldn't want to force someone to be sober unless they were ready to. And for me, it's a temptation. I don't know how good an idea it is that the other person is a drinker and you're not, because eventually over time, one of you is going to be tempted to go the other way. Either she's going to join you in sobriety or you're going to join her back into drinking, which would be a very bad idea for you, especially if you have no self-control. They did speak about exploring a romantic connection. Do I see it there? I don't know, is all I'm going to say. I really don't know. You have Lev sit down for a chat with Luca. I don't even know why Luca is back. I really don't. I could have done with another, you know, season of Messy Mitch as compared to Luca. Luca is very pompous. He thinks he's the Izzy when he's not. They say they live around the corner from one another because they're both from Brighton. Liv is saying he's a good-looking guy. Liv will say that about anything just because she wants to stay in the villa. So she'll make it seem like she's exploring a connection until she finds whoever she finds. He did ask her that, why have you not been in a relationship? And she said, you know, she hasn't found the right person. I would have said, I haven't found my person, given the fact that she was in a connection with Kai and Kai is now engaged to someone he met on the show. I would rather have just said, I haven't found my person, but I'm still looking. They speak about, you know, physical touch and about intimacy in bed. Luca is very standoffish. Although he said he's open to exploring a connection, he tells her they're just going to rub feet. Luca is not there to find a relationship. Luca is just there for whatever redemption tour he's on from his last season. That's it. You have Ronnie. Ronnie's having a conversation with Elma. Elma's biggest concern is she wants to stay in the villa longer than 24 hours. That's the impression that I get. She wants to stay in the villa longer than 24 hours. She seems to like Ronnie, which I hope is true. And they seem to get on very well. She does let him know that she was stressed when he was pulled for a chat by Ekin-su, but she didn't really hear him say much, even though they were eavesdropping. He's happy with that. Ronnie plays like he's an idiot when he's not. That's the impression I've got of him over time. And the thing with Elam, she reminds him, she's a cross of his girl that he coupled up with in his season, and Harriet, the girl that he really liked and didn't like him and she broke up with him. I've forgotten her name. She wasn't that memorable. But that's who Elma reminds me of. She's a cross between that girl and Harriet. We have Catherine have a conversation with Naz, and we've seen this before. We've seen this song and dance before. We saw Whitney and Maddie. We saw Manuve and Mimi last season. Now we have Catherine and Naz. And it's like, why do we do this to these girls? We have amazing girls. I'm not saying the guys are not good looking. They're all very good looking guys, but there's nothing there that aligns them apart from the fact that they're from ethnic minority groups. Nothing at all. Yeah, they had a good conversation. I like the fact that Catherine asked him, you know, how long were you with your ex? You said 4 years. What happened? Are you sure you're ready to move on? Those are the great questions, but her person is not yet in the villa. I agree with Messy Mitch that her person is not in the villa. I don't think her person is Scott, the one that's not in the villa, the one that's been on 3 shows, because at the end of the day, if there was anything there, they would have pursued it, but they haven't pursued it in the real world, or we haven't seen them try and make an attempt to pursue it. So I don't think that's her person. Hopefully her person comes through the doors. I hope they do. I hope they do. I don't know who I can suggest, but at the moment, off the top of my head, maybe Ekin-su. No, not Ekin-su. What's his name? Yeah, Ekin-su. I think Ekin-su would be good. Ekin-su from Dummy Season, I think it would be good for her because it's very laid back and very peaceful. That would be a great match for Catherine because she is there and he is just a peaceful one. So they would make a good match. You have Marcel and Gabby sit down for a conversation. That was really sweet and very touching because at the end of the day, these are the 2 people that you least expected to be consoling one another, and yet they're consoling one another because Gabby was sort of speaking about, Marcel being cheated on by his wife and, what he's going through. She was offering support. It was so sweet. It was really sweet because at the end of the day, she could have just said, I'm not interested. I don't want to talk to you. That's it. But the fact that she sat there and listened to him and was consoling him and offering him words of wisdom was amazing. I said this before, I'll say this again. Gabby still likes this guy. She really does. And I think it's just a matter of time. I don't think he sees it, but for Gabby, she sees a future with him and she's open to exploring that. Whereas he keeps sort of saying, have you seen anybody else you like? Is there anyone else who's caught your interest? No, you're the one who's piqued her interest. You're the one she wants. So I don't get why you don't see it. And for me, I don't know whether Gabby has the tools to sort of deal with this because I don't know whether her heart could take this man breaking it a second time. And I hope if she gives him a chance, I hope he uses it wisely because at the end of the day, you'd really be foolish to sort of have someone who adores the ground he walks on and he then sort of play her because it's not fair. He's already been played. He knows how painful it is for someone to cheat on you and someone to lie to you. So he needs to be kind with her. Everyone gets ready for the night and the girls are sort of having a conversation with India and telling her that their guys on their dates said that, Scott was very vocal when it came to Ekin-su and he seemed really keen. And India sort of questioning because this doesn't align with what Scott has already told her. And we all know Scott told the guys that he doesn't see anything there with her because at the end of the day, if there was something there, he would have built on it. Everybody gets ready for bed. You have, Luca pretending to make a bed for it. I think he would have made it if no one called him out. That's the impression that I get. I think he would have made it. People are very sort of careful in what they wear for the first night. I love that Gabby was sort of wearing a little pajama shorts and a shirt, and she was saying I have to be cautious that I don't put on anything sexy because they cope with whatever challenges that present. Only one who thinks this was a boring episode. It seems like a filler episode, or it feels like people are still on their best behavior because they're trying to make sure that they don't get in trouble with the viewers. Anyway, in the morning, the islanders wake up and you have India go for a chat with Gabby and Kaz on the terrace, and they're sort of chatting about Gabby's situation with the fact that Marcel is there, and she's sort of saying she's at this point whereby she's not sure, she's not open to exploring anything with him. Maybe it will change in a week's time, but at the moment she's not open to exploring anything with him. She's sort of in this space of peace and she's just trying to move on. And it's like, if that's what makes you happy, hooray. You also have, the guys having a conversation and sort of asking Marcel where he is. And he says, well, we had a very good chat. Even Gabby agrees that they had a very good chat and they've come to this place of peace where they've been able to give each other peace. And so they're just going to sort of be open to exploring connections to see what they like and see if they have a connection with someone. And it's like, hey, it is what it is. You have Ekin-su has a chat with a couple of the guys because obviously she still has to make that choice. So she needs to chat to the guys so that she sees who she's got a connection with. First off, she goes for a chat with Ronnie. And Ronnie, we all know him. Ronnie, I've said this before, and I would say this. Ronnie goes turbo in the sense that he pretends to be naive, he pretends to be ignorant, and the girls are just sucked into whatever he is and whatever he does. So Ekin-su was very giggly and giddy, and so do I think she'll choose him? I don't know. I think if she wants drama, she might choose him because she knows that the girls are going to come in and be going after him, so she might choose him. She went for a chat with Curtis on the terrace. I didn't quite catch anything there. It seemed there's some sort of interest there, but we didn't really get to see much of it because it was very chop. And then we had a conversation between Ekin-su and Scott is sort of saying, well, he's open to exploring a connection with her. He seems to really like her. And so the girls on the terrace then let, India know that Scott is, probably not going to come out of friend zone. He seems more interested in Ekin-su because Ekin-su was saying to him, you need to be open to exploring new connections. You shouldn't be afraid of me just because you're worried about what might go wrong. You should be open to see if there's anything there that might develop into a relationship. And it's like, oh, if that's what works for you, amazing. We're here to support you. I think Ekin-su is going to do what Ekin-su wants. Ekin-su is not going to worry about the girls' feelings and the fact that they are offended that she's taken their man. She's a totally different breed. She moves differently from the rest of the girls in the villa. Most of the girls in the villa would use the girl code and would be afraid to say, oh, let me not take, Curtis from Kaz because, Kaz would be upset. No, I don't think, she sees it that way. I think she's always going to go after what she wants and pursue that. You had Gabby and Luca go for a chat, and for me, I don't get it. I really don't get it. Is it because Gabby is really interested in Luca, or is it just because she's trying to see if she can find something else outside of Marcel? Because she was asked, how do you feel? Is there anyone you've got your eye on? And she said, when I came in with Ronnie, and that was what I was most focused on. But then it's been a bit of a whirlwind, which it has for her because her ex is in the villa. So it makes sense that it's been a whirlwind for her. And so she's at this space now whereby she's trying to explore connections. She sort of hinted that she might like Luca romantically. I don't see it. And I would highly discourage her from doing that because Luca is not it. Luca, I don't think is there for the right reasons. He was asked, why didn't you and Gemma work? He said Gemma was 19, I was 23, so we're very immature. And, it was a lot for us to try and cope with, leaving the villa and having all this attention on us. No, Gemma really didn't like him romantically. She didn't. He was out of her league. And so she enjoyed him because he's the only one she could think of out of all the guys in the villa. And she did have that thing with the guy. What's his name? I've forgotten his name. The guy from Casa. I think if he had come in as one of the mains on day one, she would have stayed with him. But because he came in and she was already settled with Luca, I think this is why she put up with Luca, not because there was anything romantic there. So I don't get why Luca is trying to make it seem like he and Gemma had a seriously romantic connection. The morning you had Ekin-su, well, during the day you had her have sort of chats with the guys that she's interested in, the 3 that she took out on the date. And personally, what do I think? I don't know. She first off had a conversation with she sat down, had a conversation with Ronnie, and Ronnie is just playing the game. That's the impression that I get. He's playing the game. He's going to say what he feels he needs to say in order to sort of keep people interested or not get himself in trouble. And he's also going to try and sort of do things that make sure that he's safe. So either way, he's got Elma who's interested in him. And if Ekin-su is interested in him, then the better for him because he has 2 girls that will always keep him safe. That's the impression that I get. This is the way he moved in the villa in season 11. And this most likely looks like is still going to be his gameplay for the new All-Star season. She went on the terrace with Curtis. What do I think? I think she likes Curtis. I think she likes the fact that Curtis is with a popular girl because in my opinion, Kaz is the most popular girl this season. So that alone, I think is enough for her to feel interested in sort of trying to explore a connection with him. Do I think they'll last? I don't know. I think out of all the guys in the villa at the moment, she might not want Ronnie because Ronnie is with someone who's not really that popular. So she might lean more towards Curtis because with Curtis, at least she can, do whatever she wants and not get in any trouble at all because she can misbehave. She can sort of create a connection. She can manipulate him. I think this is why she's after him because she's seen him already try to be manipulated by other people. So this is what she's going to do. She had a conversation with Scott. Do I think she's interested in Scott? I think if Scott was not on his sobriety, then she might have been interested in him. But because he's on his sobriety tour, I don't think she'd want him to relapse. So she's going to try and stay away from him and lean more towards either Curtis or Ronnie. That's where my money is. So once the islanders are ready for the night and they've picked up their drinks, they all sort of sit down and start having conversations. You have Ronnie, he's sort of just flirting with Ekin-su. Ronnie will be happy with anything that makes him happy. And you have Liv. Liv is trying to sort of live close to Ekin-su, or she's trying to sort of be as close to Ekin-su as possible. I think she wants to learn from the master because she knows that she can never be Ekin-su. So she's going to try and sort of learn from the master. That way she knows how to navigate, because Ekin-su has been able to sort of leave a long-lasting impression on the show. I think if Liv goes after Ekin-su, Ekin-su will give her a run for her money. So I think out of fear, she's decided to sort of befriend Ekin-su, since her guy, Ekin-su, hasn't shown any interest. Ekin-su receives a text message for everyone to gather around the fire pit so that she can make her choice. And so everyone is sort of believing that she's going to pick one of the three that she chose for a date, which makes sense because we haven't really been shown conversations between her and everybody else. So I'm not surprised if she chose from one of the three. They gather around the fire pit. She then decides that she's going to pick Curtis. And everyone thought she was going to pick Scott, but I don't think so. I think had Scott not been on his sobriety and had he not been talking about it a lot, she might have chosen him. But I think she doesn't want to stress him out and lead him back to fall off the bandwagon. So I think this is why she's decided to go for Curtis. Curtis really seemed excited. He actually kissed her when he thanked it. Sort of, I think it was close to the lips, but not on the lips. So I can't wait to see what happens, because this has left Kaz vulnerable because her partner's gone. While they're sitting around the fire pit, you have Casey walk in. And Casey, for me, I don't even know why he's there. He came in as a bombshell, didn't do much. Then he was in a partnership with Claudia, I think because he realized that Claudia was a celebrity child. When Claudia went to Casa, he gave Cynthia the impression that he was really interested. And then when it was time to recouple, he decided to go back to Claudia and made it seem like whatever he had with Cynthia was very shallow. And I remember Cynthia doing interviews after the show complaining bitterly of how he played her. In All Stars, the first one, he did the same thing. He came, he was friends with Tom because Tom was there, and he just mucked about until it was time he was voted out. He really wasn't serious about finding a relationship. He did play with Georgia. So I understand Kaz's vim, because Kaz called him out and told him that, you've messed around with a lot of Love Island girls. Apparently he's been in the DMs of every single girl that was in the villa at the moment, and some that have left the villa. So I don't know why producers keep bringing him. And because Kaz is vulnerable, you'd expect her to be nice to him, but I think she would rather go to Marcel than couple up with this man. So I can't wait to see what happens and which girl is going to want to couple up with him after this fight that he's had with Kaz. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe, and click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 1. Bye guys.